Hi guys. We're just gonna. My brother and my mom are playing Mario Party downstairs, so you might be able to hear them. But we are gonna go over the answer key to this angles unit review before we take that quiz. So I have my answer key right here. It also should be in the back of the room, so you can check it there. But I just wanted to go over some of the answers here, hopefully cover most of your questions. Okay, so we have this angles unit review on number 1. We've got just vertical angles here. So they tell us that right angle is 76 degrees. Right across from that, we have Y, which is a vertical angle. So that's going to have the exact same angle measure. So that's also 76. And then to find X or Z, those are adjacent or supplemental to the 76. So we just do 180 minus 76 to get that 104 for both of those. Pretty straightforward. So those are vertical angles. That's why those are equal. Or adjacent if you're doing that 180 supplemental. On number 2, we have a couple more angles. We're looking for the measure of angle X. Okay, so that one down here. And we're looking for the measure of angle LNO. LNO, like this. So LNO is a vertical angle of this one that's labeled 142. So we know that one's 142. Once we know that's 142, we can get this inside the measure of angle MNL. That I've got there is going to be supplemental to that 142, right? So that's going to be 38 in there, I believe. And then we can do this entire triangle needs to add up to 180. So 180 minus 90 minus 38 leaves us with 52 degrees for the measure of angle X. Also, I hope you like this horse background. I picked it just because I thought you would really like it. On number 3, the measure of angle A is 49 degrees. We've got a right triangle there. So we're given that 90-degree angle and the other 41 degrees. Just subtract those from 180. 49 degrees. On number 4, this is testing our exterior angle theorem. So this exterior angle EFM, which is labeled 117, we know that is supposed to be equal to this 40 plus that question mark. So we can just subtract that 40 from the other side and get 77 for the measure of angle question mark. And the measure of angle MFE, that's really just testing whether you know how to name angles. So MFE is that 117 degrees. Number 5 is looking for the measure of angle BAC. So when you're looking for these, you need to be really careful. Start at BAC. So it's looking for this angle right here, BAC. Careful of those. And we're also looking for the measure of angle X. So we've got a couple of things in here. I think the first one I labeled, we knew this 44 degrees over in the bottom right, and we had a vertical angle there, so we can bring that 44 degrees in. And we have this 63 degrees up here in the top, which I can take over to this B if I needed to make that 63 degrees. Once I know that this is 63 degrees here in the B, I notice that I have these perpendicular lines right here and this transversal. So this angle B that was right there, we labeled 63 degrees, is an alternate interior angle with angle BAC, that one we're trying to find. Those are congruent, so that's also 63 degrees. And then once we know that we have our 73 and our 63 in there, we can subtract those from 180 to get that 44 degrees for measure of angle X. Okay, we've got a bigger one here. So we started with this 135 and the 70. That 70 can be brought right across as a vertical angle. The 135 and the B are adjacent. They have to be supplemental. So we can subtract that 135 from 180 to get 45 degrees for B. We've got measure of angle A is 70 degrees. We can finish up this triangle, making it add up to 180 to get this 65 degrees for measure of angle C. And then after that, we need to check out our parallel lines cut by a transversal. So we have this alternate interior angles right there from that transversal is going to be equal. So that makes E 70 degrees. And if we check out this one as the transversal instead, we'll see that this angle and this angle are alternate interior angles. So those also have to be equal, both 45. Once we have those, we can get this angle F a number of ways. One thing we could do, because we already know E, this measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F should be 180. So we can subtract that 70 to get 110. I guess that's all of our places. Okay. On 7, this is testing our alternate exterior angles. These are alternate because they're on opposite sides of the transversal. Exterior because they're outside the parallel lines, and those have to be equal. So we can set up an equation, 3y plus 53 equals 7y minus 55. I solved that out and got that y equals 27. On number 8, similar idea, we have this exterior angle though, and our exterior angles are equal to the sum of the interior angles. In fact, I think this one was one of the book problems, probably like the first one, number 16, I think. So 9x minus 8 is going to equal the sum of 5x minus 10 plus 50. We set that equation up, go ahead and solve, we get x equals 12, and then to plug it back into angle NED, I do 9 times 12 minus 8 and get 100 degrees. Perfect. Go ahead and flip that over. On number 9, these are just supplemental angles. So if I add these two together, they should be equal to 180. Do not make the same mistake I did first on the key where I tried to set these angles equal to each other. That's not right. See how I crossed that out? We need to add them together and get them to equal 180. I simplified that out and got x equals 6, and then came back in and plugged that 6 into both sides of these angles. I got the measure angle BAC was 148, and that's pretty obviously obtuse, so I think I can agree with that. And the measure of angle BAD was 32 degrees. On number 10, we have another exterior angle. This one's pretty straightforward. We just have x is our alternate triangle angle. So that should equal the sum of 64 plus 45. I got 109 for measure of angle x. On number 11, we've got another exterior angle here. So that should be equal to the sum of the opposites. So 8x minus 11 equals this 5x plus the 2x plus 6. I solved that out and got x equals 17. And then plugged it back in to this 8x minus 11. Actually, I guess I came in and solved these two inside ones, although it would have been less work to find that outside one, so I don't know why I didn't do that. I plugged it in and got 85 and 40 for these interior angles, and then solved the triangle needed to be add up to 180 to get the 55 degrees for the measure of angle ABD. But it would have been more efficient for me to plug it into the 8x minus 11 and then subtract it from 180. I don't know why I did it the other way. Weird. Okay, here we go. We got some triangles. We got some parallel lines here. So we're given this 110 up in the top. So the first thing I would do is subtract that from 180 to get this 70 degree for measure of angle 1. We can also get this measure of angle 2 because this needs to add up to 180. So we get that 65 degrees. And now that we have 70 and 65, we can finish up this triangle right here. Make that add up to 180. So I get that 45 degrees there. And then we've got, here are our parallel lines cut by a transversal. So this 45 degrees, corresponding angle with number 5. So that's going to be the exact same. And we got the vertical angle for 6 across from 45. So that's going to be the same also. Over here, the 65 corresponds down to the 3, and the 115 corresponds down to the 4. And I think that gets us all of them for those equal ones. Nice job. Okay, number 13, starting to get a little tougher. So we're given this 80 degrees up here in the corner. I corresponded it, I don't know if that's a verb, down to the L. So that also became 80. But I also looked at this vertical angle right across from the X. So that H was 80. And then I corresponded down here to 80. This needed to add up to 180. So that makes K 100. And then we're also trying to find the measure of angle A, which is down here. How do I get that to be 50? Oh, duh. I'm not even paying attention that I already had that 130. That was embarrassing. But I'm not going to re-record this, so she's going to have to deal with it. Okay, so A is 50 because it has to add up to 180 with that 130. Woof. Okay. Here we go. We've got, I don't know what kind of shape this is, but I have two right triangles. This one I'm given this 40-degree angle, so that leaves me with only one choice for my last angle in here. That's got to be 50 degrees. That vertical angle is across number 3, so that's also 50 degrees. We can find this 2 and this 4 because that has to be supplemental, so those need to be 130. This 8 needs to be supplemental with the 40, so that's going to be 140 degrees. And then once we have this 50 here and that right angle, that means this 5 is forced to be just 40 degrees to make this add up to 180, and that leaves this 6 as 180 degrees as well. I think you got all of them. Oh, and the 7 up here is supplementary to a right angle. That makes it a right angle as well. Perfect. Okay, back here we've got all of our names here. So angle 1 and angle 8, these are on the outsides and they're opposite. So that is alternate exterior. Okay. Angle 4 and angle 6 are on the same side of the transversal. When I say same side, I'm talking about this transversal. So on the same side of that transversal, and they're interior. So that same side interior. Number 3 and number 5 are also same side interior, just the other ones. Number 2 and number 7 are on the outsides. So those are alternate exteriors because they're on opposite sides. Number 3 and number 6 are alternate interiors. Okay. And not quite last, number 1 and number 7 are 1 and 7 are same side exterior because they're on the same side as that transversal. Number 4 and number 5 are interior, alternate interior. And number 2 and number 8, 2 and 8 are same side interior. So there were not any corresponding on here, but corresponding would be like 1 and 5. They're both in the upper left. Or 2 and 6 would be corresponding. They had to be in like the same place there. So that's all of those. And the last thing we have is this challenge, okay? So my recommendation here, because I got stuck in this pentagram and someone gave me advice to look at bigger triangles. So that's why I have this green one highlighted. It helped me when I stopped looking at the tiny triangles and started kind of looking at the big picture. So I slowly pieced all of this together. I think I started from some of this left corner because we had a right triangle. This was 40 degrees. So that forces this to be 50 degrees, which is a vertical angle across. So that makes 50 degrees right here. We're also given that this is 70 degrees right here. So that forces a vertical angle of 70 across and forces these to be 110. 70. Okay, so we've got that one now. And up here, we're given a right angle and 60 degrees. So that forces this little one to be 30 degrees, vertical angles across to be 30 degrees right here. And we're given this 112 right here. So this guy and this guy need to add up to 180. So that's going to be 68. It also adds up to 180 this way. So that leaves, or a vertical angle across to be 68 right there. So now we have almost all of this little triangle here. The final piece of that is going to be an 82 degrees to make it add up to 180. And then we can fill in this 98 right here because that's supplemental. And we can fill in this 82 as a vertical angle. That's kind of bad. Fill in this 82 as a vertical angle. Fill in this 98. That looks a little better. Okay, we can also fill in this 112. That's this angle right here. Okay, we've got a lot of things in here now. So we got to keep looking at bigger triangles. This is the advice I was given. So for instance, I could now look at this triangle right here. Because I already know that this corner is 30 and this corner is 110. So that leaves this corner down here to be 40 degrees, which is nice. And I guess I could have vertical angled across from here. Oh, no, I couldn't because I didn't have that. I take this vertical angle down to be 40, and that forces this end to be 50 degrees on the bottom corner. So that's nice. Oh, we have almost everything in this triangle right here. We can get this 62 degrees by subtracting by 180. Supplemental tells me this has to be 118. And this has to be 62. And, we have this 82 and the 70 in the top right, so we can get this 28 up here. And then we'll look at this big green triangle to get 102 down in this corner from this 50 degrees and that 28 degrees in those corners to get this 102. We get this 78, and we get 32 right here. Bam. And that's going to vertical angle across. We got nearly everything in there. But so my advice is to look at these bigger triangles, like this one I've highlighted in purple and this one I've highlighted in green, and that will help you out for sure. Okay, we got all of those. And last one down here, I started right up here with my 4x and 5x. I knew those needed to add up to 180. So here's that work. 4x plus 5x equals 180. That got me x equals 20. And I was able to get that x equals 20 and then plug it back in here. So that gave me my 80 and my 100. And these are parallel lines here, cut by this transversal. Tells me that this spot right here is corresponding with that 80. So that's still going to be 80. And this 100 is corresponding with that 100. So I got those. Now I have 140 in this corner. So that got me my 40 over here. That forces this to be 140, forces this to be 40. And then we can get this 82 down here. Bam, right there. If we view this as the transversal on those parallel lines, then this 40 degrees is corresponding to this 40 degrees. Vertical angle that 82 across. And then we've got to start coming from the other direction, I think. So over here, we have... Oh, maybe not. Let's go over here. Our y's, we can make those supplemental. So 6.5y plus y equals 180, 7.5y equals 180, y equals 24. That's great. We've got 24 degrees and 156 degrees. Now that we have that 24, we can get this 74 up in the corner. Vertical angle that across. This is the one kind of weird thing about this one. This is an isosceles triangle here. So the two base angles are the same. So once you get that 74, it's also going to be 74 in this corner. And that's going to vertical angle across to this 74, which is nice. Oh, and that gets us our z up here because I have 74 and 74. So that leaves 32 out of that 180 for that little pink triangle. Now that I have z, I can plug that in down here. 4 times 32 minus 2 gets me 126. 126 plus 54 is 180. And finally, in our last triangle, we can get our last angle, 52 degrees for W. Whew. Okay, those are tricky. Sometimes you have to work from different directions. You might have to view it just a little bit differently. But in the end, I think you're going to do great. And just go piece by piece. Make sure you're adding up to 180, setting things that are equal the right way. And that's it. Good luck.